Hey you guys, this is Josh with Homesteading Family. It is a Saturday afternoon and we are putting in Carolyn's cottage garden. This is a long-awaited event for her and really exciting. So we are trying to get the base of it in here before Mother's Day. And sun's about to go down and the time is ticking. But I told you guys in the Supercharge Your Garden video that I would show you a little bit how we would do this, because this is a different setup. This is going to be primarily a perennial garden for culinary herbs, medicinal herbs, I'm sure some flowers and pretty stuff like that, and a few annuals sprinkled in here and there. So this is her playground. And it was all sod, all grass. And we want to turn it over and we want to get it up and working as quick as possible, because she's got starts, baby starts that she started from seed to fill up this place. So I'm going to show you today how we prep this kind of garden bed. It's a little bit different than the veggie garden. This is a permanent bed, and there's a few different ways to go about this layering method. And the way I'm doing it today is an accelerated method, because we want to be able to plant in this in the next week or two. If we were going with a standard kind of Paul Gauchi style layering system, we would just put down a mat, cardboard or whatever over the grass, maybe trim the grass and put some topsoil, some compost and some mulch, and let it sit for 6 months to a year. And that's great. That's an awesome way to go about it if you've got the time for that. But we need to kickstart this thing. We need to get it going so that we can plant into it now. So I'm going to take you through over the next few minutes on this last section. You can see we've already got about 2/3 of it mulched back there. We've been working on this all day, and I'm going to take you through what we're doing with this one. And it's really the same as a, kind of lasagna garden. I don't know, Paul Gauchi style, whatever you want to call it. There's different little tweaks and things that you can do. And like I said, we're gonna boost this and kick it into gear. So first thing we want to do is cut down the grass as close to the earth as we can for two reasons. One, that adds a layer of nitrogen. If I wasn't going to till this and I was just going to lay down cardboard, or in this case we're going to use some construction paper because we've used up all our cardboard. If I wasn't going to till it, I'd want all that grass laying right underneath the cardboard. Get it wet, put your cardboard, your carbon material on it before you start doing your layers above that. In this case, I'm going to till this. I'm going to turn it over because we need to loosen the ground, and we need to get the ground softened up so that when she goes to do plants, she can punch through the construction paper cardboard layer and get her starts in there, and they're not waiting a year for the soil underneath to soften up while nature's doing her thing, soil biology and all that. So we're going to turn it over, but I've got to finish up weed whacking and getting all the grass down. And then all right, the other thing I wanted to tell you, sorry, it's late in the day, I am tired, but if you are going to till it, if you're wanting to do this, kind of rapid succession, the grass just really gets in the way of the tiller and it just skips across the top. So the more you get that grass down to the earth, then you can get in there, till it. You just turn the grass in and it gives a little organic matter in there, which this ground definitely needs, and that's great. So I'm going to finish up weed whacking. See you in a few. Okay, so we've got all the grass down. It's out of the way on the ground, and now we're going to turn it in. And most of the videos you see on this probably don't do this, and that's great. You don't have to, but it's going to take longer for the soil underneath to loosen up. So like I said, I need to get this going, so I'm going to grab the BCS, and we're not going to go real deep, but we're just going to get the upper upper couple inches loosened up. Okay, 2 passes with the BCS, and you know, that gave us 3-4 inches, and that just really loosens everything up underneath. Again, a lot of folks do this without doing that. We do that in certain places. That's great. Less energy, gets the job done faster, but we really want our perennials. We've got a lot of investment in perennial seeds, starting those perennials, and we want them to be able to grow strong roots a little faster. So that just loosens everything up. Now, before we add on our carbon layer, our mat, which is a construction cloth, I'm gonna put just a little dusting of compost in here, not a lot. That mostly goes on top, but I just wanna kick-charge the biology in the soil here. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit around. Okay, so that just, a little compost in there, and that just evened things out a little bit from the tracks from the BCS. And we are ready to lay down our layer that is going to basically block any growth, any of the grass that tries to come back, any weeds, anything else. Is this, you can use cardboard, like I said. We did that over there, we ran out, so we're going to construction paper. And that'll put down a nice layer and keep any growth from coming back. So we kill any of the starts, any of the roots, anything here, and then we'll layer up after that. Okay, so you can see our carbon layers down, our sheet to basically smother everything underneath there. And again, this is where we're gonna diverge a little bit from some of the other methods you've seen. A lot of times you're gonna put some topsoil on top of this, but because we've turned the ground underneath, added a little compost, we're gonna just go straight to compost here. Now you could do 4 to 6 inches, especially if you're gonna let this sit for 6 months to a year. But again, the method we're doing, budgets, we're gonna go 2 inches of compost over this, and then we'll go heavy on the mulch. So. Okay, well, we didn't make it before dark, but we've almost got all the compost on. 2 inches, looking good. This is actually really nice weather, but we're done. So we will finish mulching it in the morning. So I'll see you tomorrow, which will be in about 2 seconds. Goodbye. All right, well, it is not tomorrow. I know it's only a few seconds for you, but it's actually several days later. This is how it goes on the homestead. Sometimes you work late and then something else comes up and you got to delay a project. But we're here. We are getting ready to do the last phase, which is layer mulch on this last part of the bed. We are using a hay mulch, just some old hay. Been sitting around for several years. I know the field it came from, no spray. It hasn't been sprouting seed, so if it has any, it's very, very minimal, and it's free and clean, so that's great. Love it. You know, you can also use, what I really, really like is a tree-based mulch that's had ground up bark, leaves, a little bit of wood. That is excellent too. So, you know, really use the resources that you can find at hand, and if you've got to buy it in, buy it in. You're making major leaps in improving your soil here. So anyways, we're gonna start spreading the mulch. This kind of mulch, I'm gonna put it on at least 6 inches thick, maybe a little thicker in places, just because this it's got a lot of air in it, so it is gonna settle down. If you were using a wood-based bark type mulch, you could go a little bit thinner, at least 3 to 4 inches. 6 is still great, but you don't need quite as much, because it's not gonna settle as much. So yeah, let's lay it down. All right, this bed is done. Just about ready for planting. You can see we've got the last section mulched. Now you can tell a difference between there and here. We just haven't watered this down yet, and you want to water every layer as you go, so you keep it moist, keep everything moist in there, and keep moisture against your layers so you get the composition down below. So we'll still put the water on this, and this will be finished up and ready for planting. So quick review. There's multiple different ways. You'll see people doing this different ways, and that's okay, you guys. It doesn't have to be one particular method. Use what resources you have, and you know what works for you. If you want to do the long and slow with very little resources, you cut the grass down, you lay your sheet over, your cardboard, your newspaper, construction paper works, you lay that down over the cut grass. That cut grass will provide you some nitrogen. The cardboard will provide some carbon, which helps get some decomposition going down there. If you can, throw a little compost over the grass. It's just going to help the biology out a little bit. Throw that sheet down, add at least an inch of compost on top, and as much mulch as you can. I mean, that's minimalistic, but that's going to take time. That's going to take 6 months. You know, usually, you know, in Northern Hemisphere here, we're going to let that overwinter for that bed to be ready. And that's great. That's low resource. That's easy. Doesn't take any machinery. Takes less materials. But if you need to accelerate that, then there's a few different ways to go. You can do what we did here. Maybe you don't have a tiller, you don't want to till, but you want to plant right away. Okay, then add some topsoil over your sheet layer, and then compost, and then mulch, so that if you're going to plant some starts or some seeds in there, they've got something to root in. But realize, depending on what you're planting, that ground down below is going to be dense and compact if you haven't turned it over. So once the roots hit that layer, they're going to slow down. And nothing wrong with that. You just got to understand how it works and what works best for you based on what you're trying to achieve and the resources that you have. So that's one way, a sheet of kind of whatever you want to call it, lasagna gardening, Paul Gauchi, homesteading family, Josh Thomas gardening. You know, make it your own. Do what works for you. And this is a good template right here. Now, I know you guys are going to ask, and we're already getting questions about, okay, what's going in here? And I'm going to hand that over to Carolyn. This is her space for her culinary, medicinal herbs, some flowers, some sprinkled in annuals for kind of grazing, eating when you're walking through the garden. She's got some exciting plans for this. And I think she's going to start planting it up pretty soon. And somewhere in that process, I know she's going to jump on and do a video and just show you guys what she's thinking as far as how she's laid this out, what she's growing in it, and why. So look for that in the next probably couple of weeks. And shoot me any questions you've got and put them online. I'll try to answer if I can, and or I'll cover it in another video. But again, hope this helps you guys out. Please remember to share it with anybody that would enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe and like and pass the word on. Thanks, you guys. You're awesome. And I'll see you soon.